Hi, I'm Paul Guppy with the Washington Policy Center, and this is our regular update on issues that are happening both across the country and in our state that are affecting everybody in Washington state. And we want to make sure people stay informed. And for that reason, I always encourage people to like, share, and subscribe our videos. As I've mentioned before, we have a growing audience, and we love to connect with people directly. No spin, no misinformation, none of that you hear about in the regular media, just straight facts that we're giving you. And of course, we always encourage people to follow up with their own research and information on any issue that I talk about. We also love comments, and it's a good way for us to answer questions. But getting right to the issues, the most exciting thing for us is the big, beautiful bill that was signed in Washington, D.C. on July 4th by President Trump. There are a lot of things in that bill. Some are controversial, but there is one provision which we are really excited about, and that is tax credit scholarships for school choice for every state, every child across the country, with a condition, which I will get to in a second. But what the program itself is, and this is an idea that's been around for a long time, it's been tried in some states successfully, it's something that we have supported. It's a little bit technical because they're called tax credit scholarships, but I'll say what that means. What the new federal law says is that anyone in a state that opts into this program can donate up to $1,700 a year to a grant-making nonprofit that is inside that state, and then that nonprofit organization can use that money to fund scholarships for children of families that want to choose and opt in. So it's a school choice program. It is completely funded through the tax code, the federal tax code, because donors get a write-off on their taxes, they get a credit. And the program is universal, with one condition, is that the income limit is capped at 300% of an area's median income, which is pretty high. Overhead is limited for the grant-making organizations. As a nonprofit, we really like this. 90% of donated funds must go to student scholarships. So that keeps these grant-making nonprofit organizations lean and mean and focused on their mission. Here's the catch. Because of parliamentary rules in the Senate under the budget reconciliation process that was used to pass this bill, the drafters of the bill were not able to make it mandatory across all states. In other words, each individual state must decide to opt into the program in order to allow their citizens to participate in donating money that can be used for choice scholarships. Guess what's going to happen? Red states are almost certainly going to opt in immediately. 35 states already have some form of school choice. 17 states already have their own universal school choice programs. So this is a popular idea that's already been established in many places, not in Washington state. The WEA union in our state has fought school choice like crazy, as has been reported by us and others. Even charter schools are capped and limited. They have eliminated the authorization of new charter schools. So charter schools are frozen at the 16 or 18 schools that we have now. And any other form of choice has been blocked by the political forces in our state. This is an opportunity under this new bill for our governor, Governor Ferguson, to opt into the program. That's all he has to do. Issue an executive order that says Washington wants to be a part of this. That gives the green light and allows families, donors, nonprofit organizations, private schools, other school resources to join the federal program and give Washington families access to this new source of funding. That's the other interesting thing about it, is that this is completely free money. It does not cost the state budget a single dime. The other factor it has for good policy, as far as Washington Policy Center is concerned, is it has two core strengths of public policy. Number one, it's voluntary. Families, donors don't need to participate if they don't want to. And then they can stay, they go with the regular public education system. That's fine. Number two, the aid goes directly to families, which then choose the best education plans that are for their kids. That's private education, tutoring, transportation, books, curricula, anything related to education. You can think of it as parallel to a health savings account, which is also another popular tax-free saving device. And as many people know, in an HSA, you can use that money tax-free for any health-related expense. The same is true of these tax credit scholarships. They can be used for any education-related expense to help children. The main obstacle we see to it, again, is just politics. We know that there's a lot of pressure on Governor Ferguson from the forces in our state to maintain the single monopoly system that we have, to fight choice, not allow parents to make their own choices. But we think that that will now create an even greater disadvantage for Washington state than has existed in the past. And here's why. Other states are going to be jumping in on this. The total amount of tax credit federally Congress put in is capped. So what that means is that if donations for tax credit scholarships get up to a certain level and Washington state is not participating, that money is going to go to other states. So this is a completely free source of education funding. It doesn't take money away from any school district or the state budget in any way, and it creates an incentive for caring individuals to donate money to these nonprofits, which can then go and help kids. So one thing I noticed about the biography of our illustrious Governor Ferguson is that he is the beneficiary of a high-quality Catholic private school education. He graduated from Bishop Planchette High School in Seattle, the same school my kids went to. And I can tell you, it is not cheap. So Governor Ferguson graduated in 1983 from a private Catholic school that his parents chose. And why shouldn't every kid in Washington state at least have the option to consider doing that and allow the funding to go along with that? So we hope the governor will think about this. It's a new source of education funding. Dozens of states are certainly going to be part of this, and we don't want Washington state to be left behind. And that's my pitch on that. It's an exciting new program, and we'll see how it goes as it rolls out. Next is a quick budget update. We follow this very closely. It's the latest numbers coming out of the State Economic and Revenue Forecast Council. The June forecast shows, no surprise, $8 billion increase in revenue over the next 4 years. That is due to the huge taxes that the legislature passed earlier this year. So those are starting to kick in. The higher revenue is being reflected by the state forecast, and it's exactly what the Democrats wanted. Massive amounts of new tax money coming into the Treasury, and now the Forecast Council has begun to record that money. Overall, the 25-27 two-year spending is going to be up 6.5%. That is, and that's capping out at about $77.8 billion, the largest two-year state budget in the history of the state. So if you ever hear stories that programs are underfunded, the state is short on money, that is not true. In the big picture, Washington state has plenty of money. I've noted in the past that human greed is not limited to the private sector. People in government are plenty greedy, just like everyone else, and but there's no competitive control. Government is a monopoly. If the Democrats have the votes in the legislature, they can enact as many taxes as they want. They did. We are seeing the results of that. But any justification or cover story or narrative that you hear about the state is experiencing cuts or they don't have enough funds, it's just not true. You look at the total numbers and the state has plenty of money. Next item I wanted to mention is something that Mark Harmsworth on our staff has been following closely, and that is targeted higher minimum wages in different cities around the state. These are local minimum wages above the higher state minimum wage. Everett minimum wage is just about to go up to $20.24 an hour for large companies, those with over 500 employees, $18.24 an hour for mid-sized companies. That's between 15 and 500 employees. And then for small businesses that have 15 workers, their minimum wage will be $16.66. So you can see that those are pretty high numbers for people who are making that money. Great, that's the idea. It sounds generous, but look at, why did they create different categories? Why do smaller businesses are allowed to pay a slightly lower minimum wage? Even the authors of this proposal see the job-killing effect that a high minimum wage has, and that's exactly what's happening. They make it illegal for someone to work for $16 an hour, $15 an hour, $12 an hour. There are a lot of younger people, teenagers, who would love to have a part-time job doing something simple in order to get their foot in the door in the workplace, earn a little bit of money, gain experience, prove themselves, have a work ethic and the character, the skills that young people need to succeed later in life when they are in the workforce. full-time. Those jobs have virtually evaporated in our state. And if you look around, you see that there's not much in the way of summer jobs the way there used to be for young people. And we think that's a shame. That's the result of the higher minimum wage. We just want to point out that these mandated higher numbers affect lower skilled young job seekers. They're just priced out of the market. The last item I'll mention is look out in your area for local sales taxes possibly going up. Seattle is already looking at raising its sales tax by 0.1%, it's well over 10% already. And the reason for that is, again, catch up. The Democrats earlier in the year in the legislature voted to give local officials the authority to raise their local sales tax. Politicians love this because they're able to deny that they raised your taxes. They say, oh, I just voted to give someone else authority to raise your taxes. So we count in the legislature when there's a vote on increasing tax authority that goes to counties and cities, we count that as a vote for a tax increase. And then step two is the local city or county actually goes ahead and raises taxes. And that is starting to happen across the state. So I'll wrap it up there on issues. Those are things to watch out for this summer. I also want to remind everyone that we're doing our July Drive for Freedom. You can go to our website and donate there. And we're looking for donations that start at $17.76 up to $1,776. And so $17.76, the number for freedom, is the kind of donation that we're looking for, and we hope that people will participate. It allows us to continue to do our good work. And then lastly, there's an exciting announcement we have about our annual dinner that's coming up on Thursday, September 11th in Bellevue. We have our speaker lined up. That is Arthur Brooks, who is the well-known former president of American Enterprise Institute. We've had him as a speaker before, very knowledgeable. His expertise more recently is about happiness and purpose in your life. He has explored this globally and through studies, and he will be reporting on what he has discovered. Great speaker, and we're looking forward to a really fun event. Also, I should mention that our dinners generally sell out. So go to our website or wpcdinner.com and set your reservations early because, again, once our speakers are announced, the event tends to sell out quickly. And with that, I'll wrap up and be back next time with another update. Thank you.
If you found this informative, share it with a friend and consider checking out one of our suggested videos over here. Make sure you're subscribed so that you can stay up to date with the latest policy news from Washington.